maybe. I would have beat the heck out of everybody.
Oh my gosh! Mormon men out there, you understand really quickly what swingers are.
It was the stillness that made the air feel heavy. Not silence, not really. The cameras hummed softly in the corners, the faint hiss of the boom mic catching the smallest sounds, the rustle of a sweater sleeve, the creak of someone shifting in their seat, the whisper of a breath caught in a throat. But under it all was something weightier, a kind of unspoken agreement that no one would be the first to shatter this moment. Robyn sat in the middle of it, a figure carved in porcelain, head bowed just enough, hair falling like a curtain over her cheek, hands gripping the hem of her cardigan as if she needed the fabric to anchor her. Her breathing was measured, controlled, as though even that was being performed for the room. Kody was beside her, angled slightly toward her like a guard standing post. He didn't touch her, not yet. His hand hovered in that strange, uncertain space just inches from her shoulder. He could see it, feel it, the wives' eyes tracking every movement. They weren't looking at her with pity. They weren't looking at him with respect. This was different. This was scrutiny. Christine's jaw was set, the way it always had been when she was holding back the urge to call something out. She could feel the muscles in her face tightening, locking her expression into something neutral. Inside, though, her thoughts were loud. This again. The same tears, the same tilt of the head, the same little tremble in the lip. She's run this play before, and it's worked every time. But not tonight. Janelle leaned back, arms folded, but her eyes missed nothing. She wasn't the type to pounce in the middle of someone's act, she liked her words loaded, timed for maximum precision. Still, she could feel the familiar calculation in her chest. She'd spent years watching Kody leap to Robyn's defense, years swallowing her frustration for the sake of peace. Tonight, she wasn't sure if she cared about peace anymore. Mary, on the far end of the couch, had gone still in a different way. There was no tension in her shoulders, no movement in her hands. She was storing the scene in her mind, every flicker, every sound. This wasn't just another fight. This was a crack forming in the floor beneath them, and Mary had learned a long time ago that sometimes the safest thing to do was stand perfectly still and watch where the ground gave way. The boom operator shifted slightly, his sneakers squeaking against the floor. One of the camera guys adjusted his frame, not enough to break the spell, but enough that even the crew seemed to know this was no ordinary stretch of footage. Robyn sniffed, once, twice, soft, almost dainty. Her head tilted downward, a shadow passing over her face. She made no attempt to wipe at her eyes. That, Christine thought, was the tell. Anyone who was truly crying, truly in it, would have that automatic movement, the hand brushing away tears before they even formed. But Robyn's hands stayed right where they were, gripping the cardigan, thumbs stroking the fabric like it was her lifeline. Her mouth twitched. Just the barest upward flicker at the corner, gone as soon as it appeared. But it was there. Christine saw it. Janelle saw it. Even Mary's still eyes clocked it. And in that unspoken moment of shared observation, something shifted between the three of them, a silent confirmation that they were all seeing the same thing, and that for once, they weren't alone in their disbelief. Kody inhaled sharply, the kind of breath you take before speaking, before launching into one of his impassioned defenses. But he didn't speak. His gaze swept the room, reading faces, and what he saw there was enough to hold him in place. They know, he thought, a spark of unease breaking through his usual bluster. They can see it. The seconds dragged. Somewhere in the distance, or maybe just in Christine's memory, there was the ghost of another scene years earlier. Robyn in tears, head bent, Kody's arm around her, the rest of them sitting just like this, watching, biting their tongues. Back then, Christine had let it go. Back then, she'd told herself it wasn't worth the fight. But tonight, her lungs felt too tight, her patience too thin. She shifted forward, elbows on her knees, eyes locked on Robyn. The movement was small, almost casual, but it was enough. Robyn's breathing hitched. Kody's hand finally touched her shoulder, a light pressure meant to soothe, or shield.
I don't know. She asked to be in the family, whatever, for what reasons she thought was in this, but it was
because she loved.
The room had gone still. Not just quiet, still. Even the air seemed to have lost its momentum, hanging heavy in a way that made every breath sound too loud. The late afternoon light slanted through the blinds, striping the living room in harsh golden lines, catching on dust motes that drifted lazily in the air, unbothered by the tension pooling beneath them. Robyn sat in the center of it all, hunched just enough to appear fragile but not enough to collapse. Her hands were folded in her lap, fingers tangled together as though she needed them to anchor her in place. Her head was bowed, and the curtain of her dark hair shielded her face from direct view. Except, not entirely. From where Christine stood, she could see the faint, deliberate angle of Robyn's profile. The faint crease between her brows. The wet shine at the corner of her eyes that hadn't yet dared to spill. Christine knew those eyes. She'd seen them do this before. She didn't even need to hear the sound that was about to come, that shaky, uneven inhale that always came right before Robyn's voice cracked in front of the cameras. It was muscle memory by now. Kody shifted beside her, not toward Christine, but toward Robyn. His right hand twitched as if he wanted to rest it on her shoulder but thought better of it. Even in this moment, even with her, he was calculating optics. He knows, Christine thought. He knows if he touches her now, we'll all see it as taking sides. And we will. To Christine's left, Janelle stood with her arms folded, weight shifted to one hip. It wasn't a casual stance. It was the stance of someone holding back every instinct to speak too soon. Her jaw was tight, but her eyes stayed locked on Robyn like she was trying to read an encrypted message. Mary, on the other hand, didn't move at all. She was the furthest back, just inside the archway that separated the living room from the hallway, her arms loose at her sides, her expression calm, too calm. But Christine recognized that calm. It wasn't peace, it was recording mode. Mary was memorizing every detail, filing it away for later. The faint hum of the refrigerator from the adjoining kitchen seemed unnaturally loud now. A clock somewhere in the house ticked, each second sounding longer than it should. Christine's eyes flicked to Robyn again. That little twitch at the corner of her mouth, it was almost imperceptible. Not quite a smile. Not quite a grimace. Just enough movement to betray that she was aware of the eyes on her. It was the kind of micro-expression you only caught if you weren't distracted. Christine wasn't distracted. Janelle's gaze sharpened, too. It was subtle, but her chin lifted the slightest bit, the physical equivalent of a raised eyebrow. She'd seen it, too. The TLC crew didn't say a word, but Christine could feel them noticing. The cameraman to her right shifted his weight, the matte black lens angling down just slightly, trying to catch Robyn's face through that curtain of hair. The boom mic lowered by an inch, like it was leaning in to listen to something that hadn't even been said yet. Christine had been on camera long enough to recognize the signs. The crew smelled a moment coming. The light from the window caught on Robyn's wedding ring as she finally lifted one hand, pressing her fingertips just beneath her right eye. Not to wipe away a tear, because there was no tear to wipe, but to check. To make sure something was there. Christine almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she took a slow breath in, willing herself to stay steady. If you speak now, it'll come out sharp. Too sharp. And she'll twist it. Janelle's mind was running its own race. She remembered too many family meetings that started exactly like this, Robyn quiet, pained, her voice trembling, only to end with Kody redirecting the conversation into an attack on whoever dared question her sincerity. She could see it playing out even before it happened. And she wasn't going to let it happen again. Robyn's shoulders rose with an exaggerated inhale. The sound was soft but deliberate, and when she exhaled, there was the faintest tremor in her voice, though she hadn't spoken yet. Christine knew that tremor. Everyone here knew that tremor. It was the same one from the porch conversation 2 years ago, when Robyn had claimed she was trying so hard to make the family work. The same from the couch interview when she said she couldn't understand why the other wives wouldn't just accept her. It was a tell. No one moved. The dust motes kept floating. The clock kept ticking. And for a strange, suspended moment, Christine imagined what this must look like on camera, a wide shot of the family frozen in place, eyes fixed on one woman who hadn't yet decided whether she was the victim or the martyr today. Then, very softly, Christine spoke. Robyn. Just her name. Nothing else. It landed in the air like a pebble dropped into still water, sending a ripple through the silence. Robyn's head lifted slightly, though she didn't turn toward the voice. Christine didn't move closer. She didn't need to. We're listening, Christine said, the words calm, deliberate, and just pointed enough to make it clear, we're also watching. I can keep going from here until the scene builds to the brink of the confrontation, making sure every step is slow and emotionally heavy. The room had gone so still it was almost unnatural. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the smallest, most ordinary sounds, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the low buzz of a far-off light, seemed suddenly too loud. Robyn sat in the center of it all, shoulders curled in, her hands folded neatly in her lap as if she were at a formal tea instead of the edge of an emotional battlefield. Her eyes stayed fixed on the table, a perfect imitation of grief, too perfect, like a portrait copied from memory. The air felt heavy, charged, like it was waiting for something to happen. Something inevitable. Kody shifted first. It wasn't much, just a subtle lean forward in his chair, his knee angling toward her, the faint creak of leather under his weight. But it was enough to pull every pair of eyes to him. He was watching her, not the room, his attention pinned entirely to Robyn as though the rest of the family had melted away. The way his brow furrowed was so familiar to Christine, so achingly rehearsed, that she felt her jaw tighten in reflex. The protector look. He had worn that same expression 100 times before, when Robyn so much as sniffled, when she spoke in a voice an octave too high, when she covered her face with her hands and whispered that she didn't know if she could take it anymore. But he didn't touch her. Not yet. And that not yet spoke volumes. Christine leaned back in her chair slowly, the wood groaning under her, and folded her arms. Her eyes scanned the room, Mary's stiff posture, Janelle's perfectly still hands, the older kids trying to look anywhere but at the couple in the center. And then, back to Robyn. Christine had watched her do this for years. The cadence was always the same, lower the chin, look away, let the hair fall slightly forward, keep the hands in still, graceful shapes. No messy sobbing, no red face, no blotchy skin. Just a tearless kind of crying that photographs well. Christine's inner voice was sharp, merciless, she's buying herself time. She's deciding how this will look later. She's already editing the scene in her head. Across the table, Janelle kept her eyes on a fixed spot just beyond Robyn's shoulder. She wasn't avoiding her, she was reading her. It wasn't the bowed head that got her. It was the flicker. A single, quick flick of Robyn's eyes upward toward the camera, then down again, too fast for most people to notice. But Janelle noticed. It was the same flick she'd seen during interviews, when Robyn wanted to be sure the lens caught her at the right moment. Janelle thought of the nights after filming, when she would replay scenes in her head and wonder why she hadn't called it out then. But tonight was different. Everyone saw it. They just weren't saying it. Yet. Mary sat the farthest back, as though she had intentionally chosen a position where the table partially blocked her. She didn't speak. She didn't lean in. She watched. She catalogued every movement, every breath, every delicate tilt of Robyn's head. Mary had once believed all of it, every single trembling syllable, every tearless sob. She had given Robyn the benefit of the doubt even when Christine and Janelle had already stepped back. And what had it cost her? Years, she thought bitterly. Years of playing the supporting role in someone else's carefully staged production. Somewhere to the left, the cameraman shifted his stance, the soft scuff of his shoe breaking the stillness. The boom mic edged lower, just enough to catch any whisper. Everyone in production could feel it, the moment before something real. Christine's memory pulled her backward without permission. A scene from years ago, Flagstaff, maybe Utah before that, Robyn on a couch with a blanket wrapped tight around her shoulders, voice breaking as she told Kody she didn't know if she could survive all this. Kody had pulled her close, kissed the top of her head like it was scripted, and the wives had sat in varying degrees of silence and disbelief. That exact posture, that exact voice, was here again now. But the room had changed. The patience was gone. Robyn finally shifted. Not much, just a small adjustment, a faint brush of her fingers over her cheek as though wiping away something invisible. Christine's eyes narrowed. She was waiting for the glint, the wet shine of a tear under the light. It wasn't there. That was the moment. The moment Christine knew Janelle had seen it too. The moment Mary's mouth twitched in the ghost of a humorless smile. No one spoke, but the energy in the room had altered. A subtle recognition passed between the women, wordless but absolute. Robyn wasn't crying. She was acting. And they weren't buying it anymore. Kody seemed to feel the shift, because he sat back slightly, his protective lean interrupted. He glanced around the table, as if to gauge whether anyone was still on script with him. No one was. That hesitation, that second where even Kody's confidence faltered, was almost more satisfying than whatever confrontation might come next. The air was thicker now. Someone was going to break it. Christine inhaled slowly, the kind of breath you take before stepping onto a stage. Her gaze was fixed on Robyn, not hostile but unblinking, as if willing her to drop the performance. The silence stretched. The footage they'll never show you, that's where the truth lives. By the time dessert plates were cleared that night, the air around Robyn was electric, but not the warm kind. It was the prickling, skin-tightening static before a storm. She sat there, back rigid, eyes fixed on some invisible horizon, the laughter from other tables pressing in like an insult. No one at their table dared to speak first. Even Kody, normally loud enough to command a room, seemed to be measuring every breath. You could see it in his face, that twitch in his jaw when he's trying to keep himself from exploding again. His fingers tapped against his thigh, too fast, too sharp. He'd lost the room. Worse, he knew it. Robyn's lips were pressed so thin they nearly disappeared. When the server passed again, her gaze followed, not warm, not apologetic, but sharp, appraising, like a woman deciding whether to fight or flee. Fans saw entitlement. But if you watched closely, you could see something else flicker there, fear. Not fear of the waitress. Fear of exposure. Because this wasn't just about one dinner. This was about the story they've been selling for over a decade, cracking open in front of strangers with camera phones. Meanwhile, miles away, Christine was posting her pie photo. And here's the gut punch, Robyn saw it almost instantly. Sources say her phone lit up with notifications before the check had even been paid. She didn't need to open the comments. She knew. Christine's smile wasn't just happiness, it was victory. And for Robyn, that was the part she couldn't say out loud. It wasn't just that Christine had left and was thriving. It was that Christine could still pull the spotlight without even trying, while Robyn sat in a restaurant fighting for scraps of dignity. Behind the scenes, crew members started whispering. One, someone who'd been with the show since the early seasons, reportedly muttered, that was the real Robyn. Not the soft-spoken peacemaker. Not the trembling voice and artful tears. This was the Robyn who didn't care if cameras were rolling, the one who knew Kody would back her no matter what she said, no matter how sharp the tone. And maybe that's the most shocking part. Not that she snapped. But that she's done it before. Because if the whispers are true, this was strike 3. But the moment Robyn's voice cut through the clink of glasses, something shifted. Witnesses say it wasn't just sharp, it was icy. A waitress walked away red-faced. Kody, instead of diffusing the tension, doubled down, his words heavy with a demand for respect that sounded more like desperation than dignity. And then, silence from Robyn. No rescue, no soft defense, just tight lips and cold eyes. That's when the thought hit, this wasn't about a waitress. This was a man watching his world collapse, grasping for control in the most public, humiliating way. And the woman who's always been his fiercest defender? Even she couldn't save him this time. And Christine wasn't even there. She didn't have to be. The very next day, she posted that now infamous photo, sun streaming through her kitchen window, a slice of pie in her hand, and a smile that could only belong to someone who's finally free. Her caption was only 4 words, grateful for peace and pie. It was enough to set the internet ablaze. This is shade. This is a mic drop. This is the classiest takedown we've ever seen. Because in the Sister Wives universe, pie isn't just pie. It's a symbol. It's survival. It's a quiet, devastating reminder that you can escape Kody Brown and still thrive. While Robyn and Kody are allegedly spiraling under the weight of public backlash, Christine's glow is impossible to miss. Engaged, dancing in her kitchen, cooking for grandbabies, posting cinnamon rolls while the couple she left behind fights for scraps of public sympathy. One fan said it best, Robyn's screaming in a restaurant and Christine's baking. We know who's winning. And fans aren't just cheering Christine on, they're furious with Robyn. TikToks, Reddit threads, and viral edits have exploded, painting her not as the shy peacemaker she's always claimed to be, but as entitled, calculated, and mean. One viral clip stitched her old "I just want peace" confessionals with a sarcastic voiceover, "I'm here for peace," and apparently to yell at waitresses. But then came the bombshell. A production insider whispered to a gossip blog, "This isn't new. It's just the first time it happened in front of the wrong people." According to them, Robyn has had multiple public blow-ups before, moments TLC chose to hide. Entire scenes allegedly cut to protect her image, moments where her golden wife reputation would have cracked wide open. Fans now wonder, how long has TLC been protecting her? What else have we been lied to about? How much of Kody's favoritism was editing, and how much was the truth all along? If season 19 dares to air that footage, it could be the single biggest image collapse in the show's history. Because here's the reality no one can spin, when a man has to demand respect in public, it means he's lost it in private. And when a wife has to declare her title like a battle cry, it means she feels the ground shifting under her feet. The dream of the Brown family is dead. What's left is something colder, a fortress of entitlement, built on crumbling walls, with 2 people inside daring the world to challenge them. Christine's pie wasn't dessert. It was victory. It was peace. It was proof that you can walk away from chaos and still be whole. And now, Robyn and Kody sit alone at the head of a table no one else wants to join. So the question is no longer will the Browns survive? It's this, do they even want to? Because from where the rest of us are sitting, the war is over. They've already lost. She's got the house. She's got the man. And now, she wants the respect that comes with it, no matter how she gets it. But what does it say about that respect if it has to be claimed instead of earned? And what happens when the audience you've been playing to for over a decade starts pushing back? Because while Robyn might be leaning hard into her role as the Mrs. Brown, the ghosts of the other wives aren't fading quietly into the background. They're still here, in interviews, in social media posts, in every knowing look, reminding us that this crown was bought at the cost of an entire family. For years, fans debated it. Was Robyn really Kody's favorite? Or was it just an illusion, something the edit made bigger than it was? That debate ended the moment she stood up in the middle of a restaurant and declared, in front of strangers, "I am his wife." It didn't feel like a clarification. It felt like a coronation. And for a fan base still raw from the wreckage of the Brown family, it was like a slap in the face. She finally said what we all knew, one fan wrote on a viral post. This was never about family. This was about winning. Winning. The word Christine once used when she walked away from a marriage where she always felt like a background extra in Robyn's love story. The word Janelle used when she described the unspoken hierarchy in Kody's heart. And now, after that night, it's the word fans are using to describe Robyn herself: triumphant, smug, rehearsed. One alleged diner swears Robyn sat down after her outburst with the kind of smile you give when you've just put someone in their place. That detail, true or not, is now symbolic of the deeper shift. Because it's not just what she said. It's the ownership in her voice. The body language. The tone. The audacity. The Robyn who once cried about keeping the family together now looked like a woman guarding the spoils of victory. And here's where the backlash cut deep. Some fans now believe her whole mourning the plural marriage act was never grief at all, just a PR move to protect her image while the rest of the wives burned in the public eye. She's not sad the family's gone, one fan posted. She's sad we finally see her for who she is. That theory has spread like wildfire. Old episodes are being rewatched. Old tears are being reinterpreted. What once seemed like vulnerability now looks, to some, like calculation. And in the middle of all this? TLC cameras. Because that night, that moment, wasn't just gossip. It was filmed. Sources say the dinner was part of a scheduled shoot. Producers were already set up. The crew was rolling. And while the staff looked blindsided, insiders claim the production team didn't. "We've been waiting for something like this," one alleged crew member told a fan account. "We just didn't think it would happen in public." For over a decade, Robyn's enjoyed what fans call the soft edit. Christine's tears were raw. Janelle's frustration was unfiltered. Mary's pain was on full display. But Robyn? Robyn got the lighting, the polish, the emotional soundtrack. But this is different. You can't soft edit a territorial declaration made loud enough for an entire restaurant to hear. And here's the twist. TLC might not protect her this time. The network has been getting hammered with demands for more honesty and less shielding of Robyn's image. Social posts are flooded with comments accusing producers of favoritism. Internally, insiders say there's serious debate about whether to air the confrontation uncut. Fans want the truth, one source close to editing allegedly said. And after that night, the truth is messy. But the moment that pushed it from awkward to unforgettable came from Kody. Because when the tension thickened and all eyes were on their table, Kody didn't apologize. He didn't diffuse it. No. According to multiple witnesses, he leaned forward, eyes sharp, voice cutting through the restaurant. "I deserve respect. Not we. Not she. Not my family. The word hung in the air like a challenge. Forks paused mid-air. Conversations went silent. Some diners asked to be moved. One employee later told a friend, "He acted like we should be grateful he came in. Like we were lucky to serve him." Whether that's exaggeration or not, the damage was done. Because in that one word, the mask slipped. It wasn't about family. It wasn't about love. It was about dominance. And everyone, the staff, the diners, the fans online, could feel it. The night was supposed to be quiet. A low-key dinner, a few familiar faces, maybe even a moment for Kody Brown to finally show the calm control he keeps preaching about. But Flagstaff locals who happened to share the restaurant that night say it went very differently. It started small, the kind of moment you'd miss if you weren't paying attention. A young waitress approached the table, smiling politely, unsure how to navigate the complicated tangle of relationships in front of her. Who was the wife? Who was the ex? Who still claimed the title? She glanced from one end of the table to the other, and that's when it happened. A look. That's all it took. Witnesses say Robyn Brown's demeanor shifted instantly. She pushed back from the table. Her chair scraped across the wood floor with a sound that made nearby diners glance over. Then, with her jaw set and her voice sharp enough to slice through the room, she declared, I am his wife. That's me. Don't look at her like that. No hesitation. No soft tone. It wasn't just an introduction, it was a claim. Some swear she was speaking about Mary, seated at the far end of the table, fork frozen halfway to her mouth.